Hi everyone, I'm Scott Hoke. Welcome to Mecum Full Throttle. Today, as we bring you highlights of our coverage of Dana Mecum's 39th Original Spring Classic in Indianapolis. Coming up in the next hour, we'll bring you the stunning vehicles from the MGroup collection. 41 top shelf American and European cars featuring the absolute best in horsepower, design, and lineage. And here comes the first of those 41 cars, and it is a 2023 Challenger SRT Demon 170.
Boy, what a leadoff hitter we've got here.
Yes, sir.
15, that's right, 15 miles on the odometer. We've talked about these cars. Everybody knows the specs probably as well as everyone else. It's got the supercharged 6.2 liter, 1,025 horsepower Hemi, and with the Demon 170, when you put the right liquid propellant in it, you'll be able to hike the front wheels when you launch. What a car, Chris.
No carbon wheels, no sunroof, no rear seat. So, spec'd out to the original buyer's liking. Cool color for sure. And I mean, legendary right out of the box. 3,000 domestic market, 300 Canada, right?
Chris, remind me, you were at the launch of this. Is this the one they brought in with the helicopter?
Yes. Flew right over my head.
The car flew over his head, and then the car picked up the front tires, as you mentioned, off the line.
Correct.
And we all went, oh my God, this is the best day of our lives.
Matching numbers, 454 and the 71 Chevy Chevelle SS. This big block in 1971 had 365 horsepower. That was actually an increase over this engine in 1970, which was a little unusual. Usually it goes the other way. Turbo, hydromatic, automatic transmission, power steering and front disc brakes, the cowl induction hood, and factory AC.
Sold $85,000
No reserve,
to the
as all but one of them are, and this one gavels for $85,000.
With less than 2,000 miles on the odometer. 14 miles on the odometer, and one of 69 in the speed yellow paint. Order with the optional painted racing stripes, of course, as you can see. Also, it has the Macintosh stereo inside. Also, it's an AC car. It's got the air conditioning. 550 horse, 5.4 liter, supercharged V8 with a Ricardo 6-speed transaxle. BBS forged lightweight wheels and the painted brake calipers, so that pretty much covers all four of the options.
Yeah, that low mileage, and also this one of 69 speed yellow option with the black stripes is certainly pushing that price up to where it is right now.
Sold $770,000. Sold.
I know you're going to love this one. It's an L89 Corvette from 1969, documented too.
Yeah, we like those L89 engines. That gives you those aluminum cylinder heads. L71 is the architecture of the engine. That would be the 435 horsepower, 427. Get those aluminum heads on other cars besides the Corvette. You get them on a Camaro, get them on other big block Chevys. They save weight. Some people argue they give you a little bit better breathing and more power, but the conventional wisdom is it's just to save about 75 pounds over the nose of the car.
Guys, there's a great vibe in the room like right now. I don't know if it's because it's the MGroup collection. The cars are so good. The fact that all but one has no reserve, but it is electric in this room right now.
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you what, that does make a difference. You see this Corvette sell for $105,000. Remember where we are, too, Rutledge, and what month of the year it is here in Indy in May. And you wrap all that up into one package, and you've got this Spring Classic for the 39th time.
Pretty amazing. And practice got canceled this morning at the big track because it was raining, so maybe there's a few drivers over here bidding on a new ride.
It's indoor recess today.
Yes. Here's another SRT Demon. This one from 2018.
Yes, just over 1,300 miles on the odometer on this one. This is the Demon, not the Demon 170, so you'll just have to get by with 840 horsepower if you dial in all the goodies that came in that Demon box. That 6.2 supercharged V8 Hemi. Torque Flight, 8-speed automatic. Would have been nice to have a manual in this, but Chrysler didn't have one that would take that horsepower. You'd spread it all over the road if you tried putting a manual in there. But it does have the line lock and launch assist, so you will get off the line in a hurry.
$1,000 Norman.
Guys, I had the immense honor of competing against Ayrton Senna during my years in the Formula One pit lane. And if you couldn't work with Senna, you wanted to race against him. Met him in the paddock, talked to him, so it is such a tremendous honor to see that the team in which he won 3 Formula One World Championships, all his World Championships with McLaren, for McLaren to honor that relationship with Senna is truly spectacular. And what they have done with this car, these little fun little elements around the back here and on the front, the cascade elements, to put that red on in honor of the McLaren cars that raced with Senna back in the 80s and 90s is just stunning.
$1.6 million. That's one of the McLaren Ultimate Series cars. We'll see another, a Speedtail, a little bit later. 1969 Mustang Boss 429. And as we get set to see this one, I'll remind you folks that this has been a really good weekend for Boss 9s.
You said it. This is, once again, going to be a highly desirable Boss. Why? Well, a couple of reasons. First of all, this one was restored by an old friend, a fellow Shelby American Club member, Ed Meyer. So you know it was done right. And this one also has that S 375 horsepower 429 with that NASCAR imprimatur.
400,000 is bid.
Yeah, you want 4 though? Sure?
So, $400,000, Mitch Bartucci.
How about that? Boy, 400 grand.
Boss 429 market is looking pretty healthy these days.
It really is. We'll be back with more from Dana Mecum's 39th Original Spring Classic coming up after the break. Let's move on to this 1995 Bugatti. This is an EB 110 Super Sport, Bill.
Wow. This car takes me back. I remember 1995 when these cars debuted. They were just an artillery shell when they hit. This EB 110, the 110 refers to the 110th birthday of Ettore Bugatti, the founder of the company. And this car was built just as the Bugatti people were changing hands, and so not as many of these were built as they had planned, 139 altogether. This is the Super Sport, gives you a little more horsepower out of that quad turbocharged 3.5-liter 12-cylinder engine, 603 horsepower. They all had the 6-speed manual transmission.
And interesting you say when the car was going through, the company was going through their bankruptcy, this car had been sent out because it didn't meet all the quality standards. It was having some work done on it. The company declares bankruptcy, and then the car vanishes. It appears years later in Germany, and then now is, fixed up and brought back to the public. Pretty unbelievable. A car that could have just been quietly gone forever.
Back from the dead.
Returned or rediscovered, I guess, in 2019, and it sells for $1.7 million here. All right, next up on the auction block, Chris Jacobs previewed this a couple of days ago, and this is one of those Porsches that kids back when I was a kid had posters of this car, and you heard about the 959, and it was just this almost, here in the States anyway, this mythical car. Well, here we go with an 87 959 Comfort.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the poster on the wall, Scott. I'm right there with you. This car has always been my favorite Porsche. Originally known as the Group B, because that's what the racing series it was developed for. That never came to material, but Porsche did produce this car in very low numbers. Only 292 Sport and Comforts were produced. This is one of the Comforts. Interesting to note, too, they took the spare parts years later in 1992 and made 6 additional cars. And I love the fact that this value is already at 2.1.
Oh, boy.
We're at 2.1. And that is your hammer price for an 87 959 Comfort.
Yep.
Okay, 2019 Porsche 911 Speedster, and This car is one of those speedsters that Porsche has had so much success with over the years.
Of course, the original ones take us way back to the beginnings of the Porsche 911, pre-911, in fact. And then they brought back the Speedster again, I believe, in 1989.
Yep.
And here we are in 2019, and the Speedster is back again and better than ever. 502 horsepower, flat six, 4-liter engine, 6-speed manual transmission. And you want to talk about a Porsche that is going to demand a tremendous amount of market interest. You are looking at it at $500,000.
Sold $540,000 upstairs with Drake.
A real 935, not a replica, not a home-built kit car.
Nope.
This is a real one. 40 kilometers, that's about 20 miles on the odometer. Number 76 of 77 examples produced worldwide and initially only offered to Porsche's VIP customers.
I had the distinct pleasure of previewing this car when we visited the MGroup collection, and wow, this thing just pays so much homage to Porsche's history. Of course, the legendary 935 race cars, but also the history of Porsche's association with this very famous Martini livery.
So,
You got it, my friend. $1,050,000, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, 1966. Ferrari 275 GTS, Steve Matchett.
Look at this, from days which are arguably from a more elegant time. What Ferrari were doing in this, 6 downdraft Webers onto this engine here, so that each cylinder is given its own choke, its own throat of the carb, if you like, to improve. And the sound, guys, I was just following it along through pre-staging as it came onto the block. It just sounds exquisite. It is breathtaking. It's a breathtaking machine.
Yeah. Well, you know, they went to in-house design at Ferrari for the LaFerrari, if I'm not mistaken.
They did, yeah.
I'm thinking maybe they should have hung in with Pininfarina a little longer. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
There it is. And bidder number 19,999. Just bought that Ferrari for $1.7 million. All right, let's step into the 1990s with the F40.
Well, you just talked about the different generations, the different decades of Ferrari on offer here, and clearly this is from a very different time, but still, wow. Right?
Wow.
Still wow.
For so many reasons.
Yeah. The last car, the very last car that Enzo Ferrari signed off on.
He was a driver at the beginning for Alfa Romeo, and he formed this company for racing, not for consumer cars. So he wanted to make his last car a race car as close as possible that would only be for the track, and it's meant for the street.
You're 100% right, Chris. And what we always talk about with Ferrari's road car division is exactly that, you know, selling the road cars to fund Scuderia Ferrari right through his career.
$4.7 million.
That's great. That's great. That's great.
2000 decade, actually 2005 now, for this 575M Super America.
Yeah, the 550 Maranello debuted in 1996, and as we move the clock forward, we get to 2005. Now we're at the 575, the Super America. Anytime a Ferrari has Super America in its name, it's a car that was designed to appeal to the American market, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a beautiful car. And we were chatting about this yesterday, guys. Luca de Montezemolo, when he was president of Ferrari, said, you know what happened to those front-engine cars? Let's have those back. Then came on board the 550 Maranello, advancements, and we get to this stage, yeah.
Right, 575M, M for Modica, for a car that's been modified at the factory, 540 horse, double overhead cam aluminum V12 with dry sump lubrication. Boy, that's straight out of the annals of racing right there.
I can't believe what we're seeing. It's just one fantastic car after another.
Grigio Silverstone exterior paint with the red or Rosso interior.
And $400,000 just bought that 2005 Ferrari. Well, Bill, you mentioned the
progression,
thank you, of the commemorative Ferraris, and here's the next one after the F40, the F50.
8.7.
8.7! You want to get 9 million? Jordy, you want to get 9? 8.7, 8.8.
I'm delighted to see these cars being appreciated like this.
Absolutely right.
Delighted.
Yeah.
It's taking me back to Kissimmee and the Bachmann collection.
Yes.
The same kind of vibe.
Yes.
8.8.
Listen to that crowd now.
Going to the individual on the other end of the phone there at $8.9 million. Here is the much anticipated 2012 LaFerrari prototype now.
And, you know, I just want to say, and Steve, you're probably going to hit this particular point, the fact that this car escaped from Maranello is a miracle unto itself.
It is an absolute miracle. I have never seen it on any other model before. I've only ever seen this one car ever break free of the stable when it's a prototype car. You never see them out in the public.
Steve, when you look at some of the little details, like if we look at this vent, if you look at how these things came to be, am I correct? We're looking at, like, this is essentially backyard mesh that someone made there at the factory, but self-tapping screws?
It is absolutely that. This is the mechanics and engineers taking the car to Fiorano, saying we're trying different cooling techniques, we're looking at different induction techniques, and we want to know whether or not, in this case, will that negative pressure underneath, if we generate too much negative pressure, will it pull the bodywork off, which is a real concern. And you can see their reactions around it. Maybe it did start to lift up on first lap.
Sure.
And we thought, hey, all right, let's try something else to keep it down.
And then they put the turnbuckles, because obviously when they're working on this as the sort of mule and trying to figure stuff out, it's constant calibration and trying to figure out what's going on.
It is an absolutely organic process of going from the drawing board to the computer screen to the first prototypes and getting onto the Fiorano track and actually running the track and the car in the real world. And what we're seeing here is the engineering process of running a prototype in the real world. And again, just as Scott was saying, you never see them. You never see these cars outside of Maranello.
Right, and here, guys, you had the choice. You were actually able to look at another LaFerrari and see the difference between the mirrors, the headlights. These headlights look like they came from a 488 or something close to that. The mirrors on the LaFerrari prototype are much thicker and different. They're closer than the mirrors on the final production. So you really get that perspective of just how hard they work to make this car the incredible model that they did.
And this one sells at $750,000. And Steve, if memory serves, they ended up with 3 of these prototypes. The first phase, second phase here, and then there was a kind of a final phase before the LaFerrari arrived in 2014.
So it's great to see one of those cars come out of the stables and be able to see it, because it's such a rarity. It's such a rarity to be able to see it. But it is certified by Ferrari too, right?
Yes.
By the way, yellow book on it.
Yep. Real quick, if you want to know the drivetrain, so do I, because they don't tell you. It's a prototype powertrain in that car. So just use your imagination. It
did sell for $750,000. And next up, we go back to 1970s production with the 365 GTS 4 Daytona Spyder.
Yep, yes, the Spyder. This, of course, has that 4-cam engine, the one that everybody wants in their 365 GTS. Of course, has the 5-speed manual and the gated shifter. And this is one of only 14 that were produced in the Argento Metallizzato exterior paint with a black interior.
Very good.
And to underline what we were discussing earlier on about Luca de Montezemolo wanting the front engine cars to come back online at Maranello, this represents the final car that happened in the 1970s when they underscored that and said, let's put the engine in the back of the car and produce the Berlinetta Boxer. So it was from here, 23 years they had to wait before the 550 Maranello came on board. Yeah.
By the way, this has a celebrity connection. This was once owned by Sidney Pollack. Remember him? An Academy Award-winning director. Best Picture, Best Director for Out of Africa, that movie with Meryl Streep and Robert Redford. Also, he would make some cameo appearances in some of his movies, like Tootsie with Dustin Hoffman.
That's right.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Another movie reference I hope I get credit for.
$2.1 million is bid for this Daytona Spyder.
Well, as that Daytona rolls across the block, I've got to say, I've just had an absolute ball seeing those cars roll. Wasn't that fantastic?
Oh, all the way.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
There are a few more Ferraris still to come in this collection, the MGroup collection. But for now, $2.1 million for that 1971 Ferrari. Oh my goodness, Chris Jacobs, what in the world is going on here? This is a 1986 RUF BTR flat bow.
Yeah, just checking the VIN on here, and it does indeed start with W09, which is the signifier for the RUF slant nose. Started as a special wishes or Sonderweiss in German. You could get the slant nose variation, and then RUF just absolutely took it to the next level. These cars are so highly desirable, so cool, and these are back in the day before RUF started building their own cars completely from scratch. So this is a factory Porsche that's been massaged quite a bit by RUF. Yeah, and you will not find a Porsche logo anywhere on this car, and that's a special deal that RUF has with Porsche. It only says RUF on it. The hood badge has been removed. 35. The Porsche script in the center section between the taillights has been removed. Those iconic RUF wheels that are on there, and you can hear it from here just how badass that exhaust note is on this car.
That is heavy duty.
Guys, this is how this car came. Just come on, it's incredible. The sound, wow.
You know, you mentioned the badging. That's the one little tiny little thing that I kind of miss on this is that Porsche script along the back. You know,
it does look a little plain without it there.
Yeah. $450,000 buys that 1986 RUF. Well, here's another car that you can chalk up to the very, very rarely seen on the auction block. It's a 2005 Maserati MC12.
Guys, I'm going to jump in here because to me, I think those lines that you see, this being the cousin to the Enzo, you look at the way that they said, okay, we still want this car to be different. How do we move air across even this one? It has the same carbon fiber monocoque chassis, Steve, that we saw on the Enzo, but it's really interesting because it is a totally different vibe and view than the Enzo.
Yeah, it has. It does share several similar features to the Enzo. The screen's the same, right? There's a lot of components that are the same, but I think this is Maserati putting their own ideas of aerodynamics on the car, not just to replicate what was happening in Maranello, but the end result is pretty stunning trims at the back, how they've got this rear wing to work. I mean, there's an awful lot of rear wing on the back of this car as well here, right? I think get the air to spill from the left and right sides to keep it that way. It's beautiful, yeah.
Reach another little milestone. $8.6 million is the current bid.
Raise that hammer high.
Sold $8,600,000. Sold $8,600,000.
Terrific.
Telephone.
Terrific.
$8.6 million for the MC12 from Maserati in 2005. Well, here's another flak bow Porsche, and this is more conventional. A 1998 930 Turbo flak bow cabriolet.
Yeah, you're putting a little performance and luxury together with that cabriolet setup. But once again, the Special Wishes program, this one's a little bit later than the previous RUF model that we saw. That was from 86. This one's from 88. And yeah, it looks so good in black right there. Indication on the consignment sheet, does this have the G50 trans, or are we a year short of that?
Four-speed manual.
Yeah, so it's the 4-speed.
Yep.
Okay, so the slant noses didn't get the G50 until 89 either.
And the VIN begins with W, which I think, did you point that out earlier? On
Correct.
The one we saw earlier?
That's the slant nose designation.
190 grand buys that 1988 Porsche 930 Turbo. All right, we've already had one Bugatti. How about another one? And this is their legendary Veyron, the 2008 Bugatti Veyron 16.4.
Oh boy, 987 horsepower, W16 at 8 liters. And it has that high-tech 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission from Ricardo. Dry sump lubrication that helps you to lower the center of gravity of the car, make it even lower. Adaptive fuel injection. It's the 46th of 76 that were produced for the U.S. 252 coupes were produced between 2005 and 2011. Traction control and creature comforts abounding. Heated bucket seats, automatic climate control. You got a Burmester sound system. Oh boy. Not a stripper, let's put it that way.
Guys, being lucky enough to drive a Bugatti for a few days when we were shooting Top Gear, it was the Grand Sport Vitesse. Just had a few more horsepower at 1,000 horsepower. It is hard to explain what it's like in a street car to have that much power that this car does. The rate at which you leave other people's sight is really one of those ways that you can track it. In the seat, you just feel completely pinned in. And it does feel like you're on a rocket, Chris. You just dig in and you go. It's incredible to drive one of these.
Well, my favorite gauge on this Veyron is the horsepower gauge. To the left of the steering wheel, it does have a gauge from 1 to 1,001 that tells you exactly how much you're using.
You know, I was going to, as we see this sell for $2 million, I was going to ask you, you remember the first time we saw one of those in Monterey. And
yes.
That kind of went out the window, and Rutt's talking about driving one.
Well, you know, that year I went to the Pebble Beach Concours, and they had one on display. And here you have the Monterey Concours, which has all of the most expensive and desirable automobiles in the world, and the biggest crowds were around the Veyron.
Yes, it made a huge splash.
Yeah.
Here is another slant nose, guys. 1994 964 Turbo S this time.
Yep, this one with the 3.6, 385 horsepower, flat 6 engine, and a 5-speed manual.
Yeah, so this would have been the 964 iteration of the 911, and by 1994, it has graduated to the 5-speed manual transmission, that legendary now G50 transmission that Porsche was utilizing.
Yeah, great handling cars. You know, by 1994, these cars were now, we'll say, getting a little more civilized and more user-friendly, not as tail-happy. That was the rap on the 911s for so long. They would oversteer if you lifted in a corner and loop the car around, but now much more compliant automobiles.
Yeah, that's how they got that nickname, the Widowmaker. And you see that side marker light on the fender. That signifies ROW, rest of the world, indicating that it was an export car. This one was one of 10 that was exported to the Japanese market. So this one's a rare one, and that's why we're seeing it reflected in the bid right now at $875.
And it's been really cool to see the value of the 911s go up over the years, and people go, oh, well, if it was a left-hand drive car that they took to Japan, I could go there, buy it, bring it here, and still get to love and enjoy the car. So what a cool story that goes along with it. And I think that's ultimately part of what we're seeing, the value here, all combined.
I'm blind for a second.
Well, the handshake seals that deal, $900,000. What a fantastic group of slant-nose Porsches we've had as part of this MGroup collection. We are not finished yet. About 10, 11 more to go. And this is a 67 Ferrari 275 GTB4.
Scott, we mentioned this earlier on, that these cars are built in a different time, perhaps a more elegant time, but look at all this again. Now we've gone to the 4-cam engine inside the Colombo engine here. Dual ignition systems on the car, and the idea by that is we can double the dwell angle time and therefore double the saturation time on the coils to give stronger sparks. Remember, this is all pre-electronic ignition day, so this is Ferrari playing with a system to try and generate a more stronger spark, but they got it to work. 6 downdraft Webers on the car again, so each cylinder has its own choke, its own carburetor tubes going down, which Bill and I were talking about a little earlier on, but a really magnificent engine. But it isn't just the engine on this car, it's the bodywork again. It's that Pininfarina just absolutely excelling themselves with the design of the car.
Yes, indeed. This was the run-up to the 365 GTB that we've already seen today. This one with the 3.3-liter V12, as you pointed out, Stephen, and with the 5-speed manual transmission. And they had an alloy body example of the 275 GTB, which we have seen in the past as well. Those are really rare.
Yeah.
But what an Italian collaboration. We've got Ferrari, we've got Pininfarina design, and the coachwork by Scaglietti.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And again, the color itself, this modern yellow color, is of such huge significance to Ferrari. It's very easy to say, well, red is the color of Ferrari, but it's not. If you look at the region, every Ferrari badge has that yellow behind the prancing horse because it's the color of Modena. It is the color of the region where Maranello is based. So yellow, highly significant to the lore and legend of the company.
$2.45 million.
Must be a great story of how this car wound up in the M Group, because the original owner was in Stockholm, Sweden.
Yes.
Made its way back here to the United States at some point.
Boy, how lucky are we to have such a Ferrari aficionado with Steve Matchett here to help bring these cars to life. They're just something special. That romance that you have, that love affair, is just so real and so special, man.
I appreciate you saying
that.
I
agree.
You know what? I feel lucky that we've got Rutledge to talk about these Superbird police cars that we had yesterday.
You know, you're trying to say something nice about your friends, Steve.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know what? If anybody was going to do that, it would have been its bid. Yes. 2.55 is the current bid. And as you have probably gathered, they're taking extra special time with these very, very special cars. All of them.
I will say, Scott, that the 275, the GTB4, was recognized as being a fantastic car back in the 80s when I was working with Maranello. It was always appreciated. We haven't had to wait for it to suddenly jump up like the 246 Dino, for example. It's always been there. Yeah.
From the beginning, Steve, you are correct. This one just sells for $2.6 million. We'll be back with more from the fabulous M Group collection coming up after this break. We pick up the bidding on the legendary Lamborghini Miura at $3.1 million.
Yeah, 1972 Miura P400 SV Super Veloce, super fast, and it is. Odometer reads about 1,500 or so kilometers, and the only example produced in this color, the blue Tahiti with the gold accents, white leather interior, and those gold Kent Mignolo 3-air knockoff wheels.
Bill, you mentioned it earlier on. This is the only one that left the factory in this Tahiti blue.
Yep, 1 of 1.
Didn't Lamborghini drop the ball there? Because I would have produced another 100 of them. It looks so
beautiful. What a great color.
That looks beautiful.
You're betting against some other people. I can't do that.
Yeah, and amazingly, this car was debuted at the Turin Auto Show just in its chassis form, and it got so much attention that Lamborghini said, yes, we are going forward with the design of this car.
Do you want to bid? All right, now they got 4 asking 4.1. Yeah, they got 4.1 asking 4.250.
I think Frank Mecum was a little excited at that $4 million bid.
Would you like to be 4.250?
As he should be, yes.
You never bid.
4 million bids right up here, Frank. 4 million bid, and Lucas, 4 million. 100 pounds
last
internet
call,
if you're going to come in, yes or no. 4 million, 100 pounds is our bid. 4 million, 1, and I have.
Out. Okay. Thank you, sir.
There's more.
Hold on.
2. Well, if you got to wait, 2 of there's no beat you to it. 4 million, 1, 4 million, 2, and either one. 4,200,000 to bid. 4,000,001, 4,000,002.
4,200,000
to bid. I'm gonna go 2.
Came this far.
4,200,000 or 4.
Yeah, 4.250. That works.
Absolutely take the better. 4,500,000.
Go half, Marty. Yeah, 4.250. Like you said.
4,500,000.
250!
4,500,000.
You know, you can tell, Stephen, that Ferrari was watching what Lamborghini was doing. 1972, production of the Daytona was winding down. What was the next iteration of the Ferrari? The Berlinetta Boxer.
12 boxer, engine in the rear.
Yeah.
No question, Bill. No question.
Thank you, Marty. Good to see you.
Okay, when we had the Senna a little while ago, we promised you another one of the McLaren Ultimate Series cars. And here it is, 2020 McLaren Speedtail.
Can you believe this is 6 years old?
I know, and we've seen these cars before, and oftentimes they come in these super bright, vibrant colors, but not this one, and I love this.
What an explosive car in 2020 with 1,035 horsepower out of that 4-liter V8 engine. Number 85 of 106 individually specified examples that were produced, 74 miles on the odometer, and a 250-mile-an-hour top speed. Hybrid twin-turbo engine, V8 engine, an evolution of the McLaren P1 engine. Steve, what are your thoughts?
It is beautiful. Look at this aero treatment here. We go from the flanks of the car here where the air flows back from the front fender, and just look what McLaren managed to do by turning that absolutely through 90 degrees and creating a duct. That duct alone is a work of art.
Yeah, and how much power that can add to the car is also insane. And it looks like the window also functionally has about, what, 3.5 inches of flow there? I mean, everything about this car, even the way that the hard-mounted aero covers on those front wheels sit, so they're always trying to deflect.
This is an exercise in taking drag away from the design. Producing downforce, yes, but it is absolute aerodynamic exercise in getting drag off the car.
And one of the ways they did that, Steve, is my favorite feature of this car is you see just behind the front wheels, those little pop out, that little pod, that's a camera. That's essentially your rear side view mirrors. And the way you see it, there are 2 flat screens in the cockpit for the driver.
Well, my favorite part is a 250-mile-an-hour car that's not festooned with wings and canards and all of that. Very smooth automobile.
Oh, my goodness. We're going to continue with a little bit different section of the collector car spectrum, Bill Stevens, with a Dodge 330 Max Wedge lightweight from 1963.
Oh boy, we got a history piece right here. This is just before the race Hemi debuted for Chrysler, and up until then, the Max Wedge, 426, 425 horse, big block V8, really was the backbone of their drag racing ventures. This is the third of 9 factory 330 lightweights that were built in 1963. Got the aluminum package, that's aluminum front fenders, hood with the air scoop, and front bumper and the dust shield. This is a car that, once again, provided Chrysler with something to compete with Ford and somewhat Chevy, because GM was going into their racing ban just about this time. But oh, to see one of these cars in the flesh, for me, that's pretty big.
Fabulous. $82,000 for that one, and we're going to continue with that little bit of Mopar Hemi now race history. 65 Belvedere 1 super stock car. This was the second year of that race Hemi availability, and the year before it came out for the street.
Well, this one right here, again, provided so much firepower for Chrysler on the quarter mile. 1 of 11 produced with a lightweight package in 1965.
Wow.
Thank you. We got it.
1025. Just bought that amazing 65 Plymouth.
Only 1 of 11.
Here's the Belvedere 2 with Hemi power.
Yes, indeed. 1967 would have been just another year where Chrysler was going out and trying to beat the brains out of Ford on the quarter mile. And so this is one of only 55 Belvedere 2s built to super stock configuration. 426 Hemi, 425 horse. More horsepower in race trim, of course. And this one with a torque flight automatic. Real race car too, by the way, Scott. This was raced under the Real Race Car. Unreal was its nickname when it was being campaigned.
Yep, okay. $85,000. 1971 365 GTS4 Daytona Spyder from Ferrari, and it's got Steve Matchett's name written all over it.
Well, we were mentioning it a little earlier on that this era at Maranello was starting to wind down, and then after this came the 512 BBI with the engine in the back. If you had to finish the front engine era for that time, what a way to go out, because this car is just absolutely beautiful.
And also, that's the original bodywork, which tells me this was born as a Spyder, not a conversion car.
Yes, and as I say, as it went back to Maranello for the Red Book certification, Maranello was saying yes, indeed.
Now we get to this live look at a 1963 Thunderbird as we get set to wind up the MGroup collection here with one more car after this one.
Yeah, not quite 6,000 miles on the odometer. This one trading much beyond what we would see this Thunderbird sell for, and we love to see that because I've always said these cars are undervalued, and this market, I know, a little bit of a poke or a prod, and we may see some upward movement. We're now at $40,000. It has the conventional powertrain, the 390 cubic inch, 300 horsepower V8 with a cruise-o-matic automatic transmission. Power brakes. These Thunderbirds, you know, they were luxurious, stylish, and pretty quick too for an unmuscled car.
And it sold for $41,000. To wrap up our coverage of the MGroup collection, no better way to do it perhaps than this 1963 Ferrari 250 GT short wheelbase, or as you see, SWB California Spyder, the last of these builds. Steve Matchett.
Have a look inside this car, inside the engine bay. Here's the story of it. The black crack cam covers on the 2-cam Colombo engine just set this engine off perfectly. 3 downdraft Webers on the car. There's that twin ignition system we talked about before with the coils. But it really is the power plant and also the bodywork. I think we're seeing Pininfarina at their absolute zenith in this time period in 1963. The collaboration between Maranello and Pininfarina with this bodywork is just beyond beautiful. And again, it is the 250 GT. Collectors love that. It's a short wheelbase. Collectors love that. It's the California Spyder. Collectors love it. And when you put all that together, wow, wow, wow.
Oh, yeah.
The Ferrari collectors world, the world is in full appreciation of exactly what Pininfarina were doing here.
Now $16 million is bid and the reserve is off.
Only 55 of these were built. I mean, you want rarity?
Last call.
You've got it.
Yeah.
Between 1960 and 1963, that's it.
It definitely seems like the people bidding are folks that know this market and know these cars.
Yes,
Steve.
absolutely.
All right, no problem. I appreciate it, man.
16 million $5 is 16.5. I've got a bit of a $5 here. That's going to be 16 million £500 bid.
Yeah, you can hang on the phone with me here.
Yes, folks. 16 million £500 on a bid. 16 million $5. 16 million £500 a bid. 16 million or you're 17 million.
My goodness.
So very, very rarely do you see them cross the auction block, right? Come out of the collector's hands and cross the block.
Oh, you said it.
Yeah.
You could take that car and you would be the center of attention at any Ferrari event the world over.
Yeah.
Well, that car right now is the center of attention in this building. No doubt about that. 16.5 million waiting on the next bid if there is one.
Big round. Sold 16 million.
Nope.
$500.
$16.5 million. And that 63 California Spyder has found new ownership.
Beautiful.
And a new caretaker. And with that, we wrap up the magnificent MGroup collection. I'm Scott Hoke. Thanks so much for watching today, and so long from Indianapolis.